Hi guys, what's going on? I'm Evolos and today we are back with another episode of Warhammer 2 Total War. So we're back with another episode of our army guides. So today I thought we would have a look at the Dark Elf monsters that they have available. We haven't really got this far in our campaign, but I've sort of got a separate campaign going. I've sort of been playing myself and I've got quite far and we've got onto some of these sort of amazing monsters. So I thought we'd have a look at what sort of we've got to come in our Let's Play series. So, the first thing I want to look at is the Harpies. So, other than being a little bit trippy to look at them all flapping in exact unison, I'm surprised they didn't animate that slightly differently, then these are basically flying infantry. They are quite effective. They have quite a good melee attack. They have no armour, but they have quite a good melee attack, and obviously the flying ability allows them to rapidly fly over the enemy troops, and they have vanguard deployment. So they can run very fast, they can run circles around most units and avoid missile fire. That's in part because of their flying and in part just because of their movement speed of 82. And because they're of this and the flying, it means they have vanguard deployment. So in an deployment area, most units have to deploy within inside this box here, yet these units can deploy further forwards. It's because of the vanguard deployment, so you can put them closer to the lines you want to. Now, I don't really use these as sort of a main combat unit. I basically use these as an anti-artillery unit. So if the enemy has, hellfire cannons or something like that, then I use these to specifically get over and go round the main enemy army and just specifically target the enemy artillery and just dive in and take them out. And these guys can more than happily deal with the enemy artillery. They don't have any other special abilities other than the vanguard deployment. But they have a solid attack and reasonable defence, so they hold up more than well enough against artillery crews. So the next thing to look at is the truly impressive War Hydra. What an absolute beast this thing is. So other than having 7,000 health, which is a very sturdy pool of health, it not only has one fiery breath. So this thing has fiery breath ability, which can be used 3 times throughout the battle. It's a dragon. It shoots fire. What do you expect? It does what a dragon thing does. It's very effective against units. It causes a powerful explosion, causes fire damage, 90 meters range. It's got a good range, but you're limited to 3 uses per battle, but that's normally more than enough. So it causes terror and fear. Basically, if you had a unit of infantry in front of it and this thing walks towards them, unsurprisingly, they want to run away. And so it basically lowers the enemy unit's leadership and causes them to rout very easily. It has scaly skin, and as a consequence of that, it gets missile resistance, 35% missile resistance, which is pretty good because this sort of thing is often the target of enemy missile attacks, so it does benefit significantly from the missile resistance. And then it has regeneration. Now this is one of the best things. Where's the tab? Regeneration. Basically, once this thing gets out of combat, so if it starts to take half damage or a bit of damage, you just back it off a bit out of combat, leave it for a couple of minutes, and its health continues to regenerate on its own. And then you can bring it back in with a good amount of health again and continue the attack. So it's really very hard to make this thing die. On top of that, I believe it has, yes, the another takes its place ability. So basically, it's because it's got 1 to 5 heads. If it starts to lose, it goes under 50% of its health. It starts to recharge again automatically, even if it's in combat, because of just the immense amount of health it's got. So this thing is really hard to kill, not only because of the amount of damage and the fear it causes, but because of its regenerative abilities. Obviously, it has a pretty solid amount of armour, and obviously with that missile resistance, that helps as well. It has good leadership. It's quite quick, actually, quicker than most infantry units, so it can catch up with everything, and it has a very solid melee attack. And if we just look at the weapon strength, 440, of which 300 is armour piercing. So there is basically no armour that can stand up to this unit. It is just truly immense when it comes to its attack ability. So, looking forward to getting one of these in the campaign. And also, on top of that, other little thing is it's a siege attacker. It can basically knock down city gates. So if you go to battle, you don't need to build rams or towers. You can use this guy to break through the city walls. And my god, it'll be like a scene from Lord of the Rings trolls kicking down the gates at Minas Tirith with this thing coming through, because it's a truly extraordinary creature. And the final weapon we've got is the good old Black Dragon. So other than having a 1,000,001 teeth and some mighty horns, this unit obviously is another flying unit. So what does it have? Unlike the traditional dragon with fire, like you get with the War Hydra, this is like a poison dragon basically. So it doesn't spit fire, it spits noxious breath or acid or some sort of toxin. And so that gets that as its 3 times effect. It has a 90-meter range. Basically a similar effect. It causes an explosion and a lasting noxious effects on the target. So it's like a poison spell. You're limited to the same 3 uses like the War Hydra. But again, that's normally enough. Again, this unit is armoured. It's got thick dragon skin, gives it a solid armor resistance of 80. It has, again, amazing armor piercing, 380 armor. I mean, it's just so over the top. You know, it'll deal with any armor. Armored units are not going to stand a chance against a dragon, not one with so many teeth. And it has scaly skin, which helps. Missile resistance, again, 25%. Not quite as much as the War Hydra, but a pretty decent amount. The unit also, and we can compare the stats if we hold them over like that, has slightly less hit points than the War Hydra, and it doesn't share any of its regenerative abilities, which kind of makes me prefer the War Hydra. I think it has sort of is a more usable unit in the campaign. But it is flying and it is very fast. It will move around very quickly and, you know, obviously has immense damage. It also has fear and terror. So if this thing flies into a unit of enemy infantry, then they're more than likely to run away. And I don't blame them. So I hope that's given you sort of a bit of an overview of the 3 sort of monster units. I tend to use, I think the War Hydra is probably the best one. I think this is a good, solid frontline fighting unit that gets stuck in the main battle. The Harpies, wherever I've left them, over there, are sort of the artillery targeting. And I use the Black Dragon sort of to work the flanks, to target enemy units that are sort of on the road, maybe target archers and that sort of thing. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of the different units. We're also going to have more Dark Elf unit guides coming out shortly. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think about these units in the comments below, particularly the War Hydra. It's just such an awesome unit. It's easily my favourite unit so far in the game. Particularly how it's animated with all its different heads and the fact it spits fire. So yes, subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more Total War content to come. Thanks guys, and I shall see you on the next episode.